Well, it's November for us, and but Thanksgiving has probably already happened for you, and we hope you had a good one. So we're going to move on to Merry Christmas. Just like that, Merry Christmas.
That's right. We got thinking about Christmas and all that's involved for a lot of us anyway. It's about getting together with family and buying gifts and parties, and as wonderful as it all is, it can sometimes feel like you're moving a little faster than you'd like to. And we got thinking about what grounds us in the midst of that. And I love this image of amid all that hustle and bustle, the image of Jesus in a manger, that classic kind of image of a babe in a manger, which was probably a very hectic night as well, that night even there.
Right.
We have this iconic scene of a peaceful night, but still that image of something being born into the world is, I take time sometimes, if I have a quiet moment, we have a creche scene at home, and sitting with that, there's a very powerful image within that for me of God being born into the world, the fragility of it, the enfleshment of it, and that's where we're thinking about, talking today about the theological word is incarnation. The church would talk about incarnation as the enfleshment of God that happens at Christmas time.
Into the world.
Yeah.
I always find myself choosing Christmas cards that have quiet, snowy scenes, or just a manger with the star above it, or something. And I think it is that deep longing in the midst of a very busy time to just find something that pulls you right into the center image of what are we talking about here as we move into Christmas. So.
And within that, you've got a really powerful theological statement that the divine is intersecting, is coming into the human material world. And I don't know if I've often heard it talked about the cross itself is with the vertical axis is the divine axis intersecting with the horizontal or the human axis, and it's there in Jesus that we have this intersection. So that one of the most powerful things about Christian theology is that we don't have a God that's abstract, that's distant, that we can think about but don't really know, because God doesn't know us. But in the incarnation in Jesus, God knows. God has become flesh, and there's a
concreteness and a humanness to it that is kind of astonishing. Sometimes the church talks about this as the difference between immanence. Well, there's eminence and presence, and is God present with us, or is God close to us, or is God far away? Transcendence, which is God is beyond this human world. And the Christian theology, again, takes each one of those concepts very seriously. Incarnation is that place where things of God become very particular in the human way. I think it's John Dominic Crossan who says, that, whatever faith concepts we have and whatever we believe, if it isn't lived in the particular, it may not matter much, no matter what we think or believe. And so this is a time for the Christian church, when we talk about incarnation, to say, what is the particularity of God in my human life?
And for me, it's always been really powerful to think about this person Jesus who worries and cries over friends, who bleeds, who there's a messiness to it that gets in the way of our kind of high-minded theology about what God is, and then you've got this guy that you can't do anything else but feel his pain. He feels he's scared sometimes. He wishes for other things to be happening sometimes. It's a
How does God get in that position? Through incarnation is what the church says. You know.
It's a powerful statement, and different than perhaps some other faith traditions in that sense of what it's claiming, or at least emphasizing. This messy, sweaty, bloody, incarnation of God.
We are made, one of our other theological points, of course, for the Christian faith and others, is that we are somehow made in God's image. So if we're made in God's image, the message of Christmas is that God is with us. Emmanuel, that word means God with us. And it's not a very far leap to then ask the question, if God is with us, is there some way that God is in us? You know, one of the most powerful things for me at Christmas time is to think about how God continues to be born into the world through us. How is God born into the world by me? I was pregnant once at Christmas time, and it was an incredibly powerful sort of life moment to think about something that's other than me being born into the world. And I think for all of us, Christmas can be like that, to say, what if God is able to be born into the world through me, through my life? So it's more of a transformative sort of thing than just an assent of belief. Oh, I believe that that happened, that God did that, but that it really has something to do with that particular me again.
That's powerful, yeah. So here's your questions for this week. The first one is just about Christmas, thinking about how do you stay grounded and centered, what brings you peace in the midst of all the hustle and the bustle. Just have some conversation around what's meaningful for you there.
Yeah, no complaining about the things that make you nuts, just what are the things that keep you grounded? I mean, if you could do that.
Oh yeah, that's probably important, yeah. And then the second one about incarnation?
Yeah, think about, you know, the message of the church certainly is that in Christ, God is incarnate into the world. But is there a way that God is also incarnate in you? It's a little bit what I was just talking about, that is this the only, is this a one-time incarnation and it never happens again?
Right.
Or do we find God incarnate in other places or in ourselves? And just talk a little bit about that.
Good. And then the last one, it's kind of a funny question, but if you were God, how would you reveal yourself? Would it be as a fragile baby? Would it be something else? But
be in a big bang?
Right,
Or what would it be?
Yeah,
have fun.
Think about. Thanks.
Have a great time.
Bye, guys.